workshop, and each dancer just only expressed their own within the same song or different songs. But I only had to deal with accents. Whatever, if I created a routine, it would be revolved around accents. If Brian did a routine, it would be revolved around harmony, rhythm, melody, and so on and so forth. And the funny thing is, it kind of hit me because I didn't know how deep it was until I got into it. And I remember I was teaching, and I've always taught before that, and I saw Brian teach this class specifically. And he was incredibly visual for what he was talking about at the same time and showing it. And I looked at that, and that hit me like an epiphany, like, you know what? You got to humble yourself and get back into the books. So I pretty much came back to New York. I went to Barnes & Noble. I bought maybe 4 or 5 music books. I know nothing about music. I know nothing about what an instrument sounds like at that time. And I just read books day and night until I understood what it was saying to me. And at first it was confusing because I'm not a musician. I don't play instruments. So I had nothing to relate it to. So a lot of the things that I was reading was a little bit lost and a little bit misunderstanding and very heavy because music theory I'm dealing with. So I realized that, hey, I'm a dancer, so therefore I'm an instrument. So I will apply this to my body as if my body was an instrument. And when I started translating it in that sense, it became more clear. Yeah. And I just went further ahead with it. And now I can pick up instruments, I can understand note value, tones, and I can read a score, and yeah, that's pretty much how the journey started. So to me, I always say dancing is 40% physical, 60% mental. You know, of course, the body responds when you train it and you cardio, when you work it out, you're prepared for impact, you're prepared for velocity. But it's what you do psychologically that makes a difference. You know, like I can learn a step and do that step in 5 different variations, but if the music changes, how am I going to change that step pattern? Or how am I going to adapt to that rhythm? So understanding music and the way it works helps you kind of pinpoint high areas because music is universal and it all follows a universal scale. So once you know where one rhythm is going or one chord is going, you know what's coming up next. And I hear a lot of it about being musicality, and a lot of people say, well, you gotta listen to the music and things like this, but I've always thought of that as being vague. Because when you say listen to the music, it could mean so many things. Yeah. So listening to the music is not really, I hear what I hear, and you hear something different. But it's how we transcribe it, it's how we read it. And when you read it in a particular way, that's when your personality shows. Is that right? Yeah. Makes sense? Yeah. So we're physical musicians, we're not dancers. That's how I see it. Whether we're intermediate, advanced, we're never advanced, we're always learning. I'm always learning. I still read. I always have a book in my bag. I'm still reading. I'm still listening to music. I'm still researching. I don't want to be good. I don't want to be the best. I don't want that. I want to be motivated. I want somebody to come out and be oh, that's okay. I want to learn that. Like I want to constantly be stimulated because once you neglect the brain of its job, which is to learn, you're really dumbing down your own self. And you're just repeating what you've learned already, which is a revolving cycle.
I got a question. It's kind of related to what you were saying. And it's piggybacking on what you were saying about storytelling. So if you were to approach a typical freestyle, would you think in terms of approaching it from a music standpoint or for a story that you're trying to tell? Or typically, how would you approach the freestyle?
When I put my shows together, first off, I think of the venue, and I think of what the piece means to that venue. So I'm not going to say yes to a lot of venues. I'm going to say, I say yes for a reason. When I put a piece together, of course, it's a storyline, and that storyline is involved around this particular music that I choose. And I usually start it as a paragraph, introduction, body, concluding paragraph, and I usually format it like that. And once I get that template, I bring the individuals, either those from my group or from one of my special guests that I feel fit that structure, I call them. So that's how the show is formulated. That's how the story is told. In terms of my freestyle, the song that I usually choose heavily probably relates to the piece in general, or it could be something that's far removed from the piece. Just to take the brain a different extension to bring it back. Because I always feel that everything should return back home. You should also have a resolution to whatever you do. Nothing should just be there unexplained, unless you're doing that for a purpose. But if you aren't doing that, you gotta know how you're doing it, when, timing is everything. So what I usually do is whatever I do, I bring it back to the original structure of how I started. So I kind of do all that in my freestyling. So it's a lot of process, it's a lot of work. When I put a show together, it's a lot of work.
Wait, you said in freestyle, you bring it back to the structure?
To the focal point of what the piece was saying. Usually my freestyle represents that.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, in terms of dynamics,
Yeah.
or if I want to be articulate, or if I want to be abstract, or if I want to focus on a particular instrument that I highlighted in the piece, usually a freestyle song that I choose will correlate to that particular structure piece. Can I? Sheet music? I understand it a bit, more now than I did a year ago. So I can pretty much see a score and know what the notes are saying.
Like if you listen to music, and can you write the songs?
Dictate. Not as sharp. No. I'm not confident to that yet. I'm trying to get to that. Yeah. That's called perfect pitch. You know what chord's in, what specific pitch, the harmonizing structure of it, the chord structure. Yeah.
Do you think if you can write down the music, you listen, it means that you are understanding music perfectly?
Yeah, if I can translate it from my ear through my hand, yeah, that's what I'm trying to get. Yeah.
You're trying?
Yeah. Because what I want to do, I want to be able to perform the pieces that I write. I want to get to that level. Because, you know, we always perform to secondhand music, pre-recorded, or sometimes acoustic. But I think the dance has evolved, as so has the music, to a level where we can test the waters on that. Like, you know, creating your own score, musically and physically, and just bringing that together. So yeah, I definitely have plans for that. Yeah.
I got a. What do you? I think I had a conversation with Jill or somebody, but I never been into jazz, but in the past few years I started listening to it a little bit. And I was watching a documentary on jazz, and they talking about bebop, and how people deliberately did things differently, or when you talk about doing something abstract or something like that, you take a dance style and you just flip it or approach it from a different angle. Can you kind of speak to that, how you do it?
Dance styles, I usually tend to respect it. If I have, for example, a lot of my pieces, the one dance style they all have in common is locking. Because I have a high respect for locking. I think locking is highly musical, so if I do a piece and it has locking in it, I have to make sure that it's done correctly. So I never take away from the dance or the art form. Whether it's popping, whatever art form I bring into the piece, it must be done the correct way. Or it's my job to find someone who can do it the correct way. That's first and foremost. I have to give respect to the art form because that's what I'm doing.
Right.
Yeah, so I never want to change that. I mean, the music is doing that on its own. But in terms of us interpreting what we're listening to, it's very important that whatever piece or genre being shown or highlighted is strictly done the way it's supposed to be. That's, that's historic, that's documented, that's a legacy that's passing on.
So to innovate a style, you say that it's interpreting the music and finding different ways to interpret it into music, or what would you consider innovating a style? Let's say you're kind of established in a particular style, you got to good at it, and you wanted to change a little bit.
I think when you're doing a style, when you're dancing, the deeper you go into it, your body will give you a message that you should take it to the next level. It becomes instinctual. It becomes something like when your body's like, you know what, we've been doing this for a while. Let's change this up. You feel incomplete, you feel off. And that's where the realization comes where you have to kind of like step back and become a student again. It's very important to become a student again. Like it humbles you because there's so much, as you learn, you are learning so many other things that you may not be able to understand at that point, but eventually it will become a time where instinctually, as a dancer, you will feel that you need to change. And that's where you evolve from style comes into play. You'll change automatically. If you ignore that, then you're ignoring the way life is. You're ignoring structure. And it's unfair.
Incorporation is to accent on the
Off it, exactly.
But I was researching about incorporation. Sometimes I don't understand mixed beats.
The silent beat. The beat that's less, that's shown here. So, so that's it. If I can respond to the beat that you're hearing with this.
Skip the next track. About the end of the track.
If I was to go time, I'm hitting the beat, but if I'm syncopating it, it's a beat that you don't hear. So it's like, and the beat that you don't hear, that's what being accent. That's syncopation.
You practice incorporation.
Yeah. Like the thing about with music, getting back to your question, when I read it, I must be able to understand it first. And once I understand it, then I translate it as how I would represent it in my body. So it goes through three processes. I read it first. If I don't understand it, I'll read it 20, 100 times until I get it. So the important thing is I don't move on because you can't cheat something like that because everything comes back to where it started. So everything has a relation to one another. So it's important for you to understand what I'm reading, whatever subject I'm on, until I understand it. And when I understand it, then I translate it. Okay, how would I physically show that? And then that's where that process comes. And then I implement it. So I don't do it until I understand it completely.
How did you study about incorporation? How did you study about incorporation?
Well, it's within music theory, so it's a subject within music theory itself. subject. Come on, what else we got? I'm here to answer whatever you guys want to know. And if I don't know, I'll tell you where you can get it.
In-house, tippy toes or heels?
Ooh, in house, tippy toes or heels? That's a good question.
Wait, can you explain? People may not know what tippy toes and heels are.
Oh, like a lot of times, like if you see people dance, like they're always like here. They tend to hit the beat. They're always here the whole time. Here, or like sometimes they either do kind of flat footed, but they always do kind of rocking back. Like they go from a jab into like doing this house. So like how do you feel? Always up here or here?
I say represent four quadrants. Toe, heel, outer, inner. It's your foot. So to break it down in those two different dimensions, that doesn't make any sense.
I understand.
Yeah, you use your foot. That's your vehicle. You know, you're pretty much scripting a note with your foot. It's hard for you to script a note if you're just doing toe and heel. All four quadrants, just like that. Can I tap? I haven't been blessed with that yet, but I want to get into that. Yeah.
What are some exercises that you've done to like translate your philosophy of your body as an instrument to the music? So like maybe for like polyrhythms or something, what is like a drill you would do for to get that in your body so that like when the music comes on you just freestyle that?
To be honest, I've gone so much into music theory and the audible factor of it that I've kind of neglected my physical. I don't really train that hard body-wise because I'm always working out here.
Yeah.
So it's to a point where it just comes out. True, you know, you should maintain your body and keep your practice up, and this is all valid. But the way what's better for me is learning it auto first, and then I deal with the physical later. I mean, you are right. I should be more active, but I'm not as I want to be.
Yeah.
But it's just my brain is always working, so I don't dig so much into the reading and studying where I'm feeding my brain so much information. It just comes out of my body, and it just comes out of my body on a no form type of way. Because I feel if you're a dancer, you're not subject to the genre, you're not subject to any form. Whatever the music says, you get down to it. Unless you're trying to prove a point with a specific genre, whether it be poppin', whether it be boogaloo, whether it be house, whether it be hip hop, unless you want to signify that genre, then that's different. Me, I'm not that strong in separating the genres per se because I haven't really exercised my physicality. Like, I just have been dancing for a long time, but it's just I've been dancing on an element of me just feeling what I'm hearing and just moving to it.
Yeah.
You know, like I haven't really dug myself into the studio and just drilled in a mirror for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Got me down? Well, I mean,
You want to do this? Sure.
what do you want to see?
I just want to see, like, I just want to basic and dancing, so I just want to see it in action.
Okay.
What kind of track is it?
Well, let's do it.
This is probably going to be like near the end because it's 11.
That's good. You got a music preference? You don't care. I'm not the healthiest person in the world, you know, I'm lazy. And I'm moody. I dance the tracks that I like. Because I spoil myself like that. I don't recommend this for everybody. I want you to be open to everything. Whether it's dance, whether it's music, instruments, be open to many elements as possible. Because me coming up, New York City was a bit different. It was just something that you did. There was no business involved. There was no, honestly, 20 years ago, if somebody was to tell me, yo, Mike, you know what? 2012, you're gonna be sitting in front of some people talking about musicality. I probably start laughing. Because it's impossible for me to understand that I'll be doing that. So back then, it was just something I did. The community did. Nothing big. We went to college, we went to school, we left the club at like 8 o'clock in the morning, gotta go to 9 o'clock class, sleeping in the class. I used to be addicted to no-dos, to the point where it had no effect on me. I used to chew coffee beans. I have them under my tongue in the club. Crazy, I do not recommend this for anybody. But this is just how the nightlife was. You just 3 nights a week, 4 nights a week, you went out. From between the hours of 11 to 10 in the morning. And I'm blessed to have that because within that cycle of time, I was exposed to so many different types of sounds and music. Basically one form of it. Because within my community, it was house. But I was always interested in different things. So I was always curious. So, for those who want to get into the dance now, train as much as you listen to everything. Because if I was somebody who trained physically every day, I know I could do more. But I'm just doing what the music is telling me to do, and I'm finding elements, I'm breaking it down one by one, and I'm just illustrating it. But if I'm in a club getting down, and I don't know if anybody ever saw me in a club, you know, sometimes I'll fall out. And I'll just start doing anything. You know, so, yeah. But it makes sense to me.